Bound to You by azala23. At 18, Flame Princess is wanting to get back into the dating game. When Cinnamon Bun wants to throw her a royal ball, the only person she wants to invite is Finn. Finn X Flame Princess. Chapter 1. The days were usually busy for Flame Princess. A citizen needs this. There's a crisis here. A political outrage there. It wasn't that she felt bored, but something inside her felt empty. She knew she was beginning to miss something. After all, she was 18 now, and had spent the past 3 years focused completely on her kingdom. Was it selfish for her to suddenly want to focus on herself? She thought of Princess Bubblegum, and how she rejected all emotional ties in order to be completely immersed in her growing empire. But Flame Princess knew she wasn't Bubblegum. She had needs. She had wants. She was lonely. She sat in her throne, fingering the intricate carvings in the flaming steel. "Princess, what's on your mind?" "Is it about the kingdom?" a caring yet goofy Cinnamon Bun asked. She ignored the question, too focused on the internal war waging within her. "Princess? Hello?" Cinnamon Bun waved a hand in front of Flame Princess's face. "Oh, what? No, it's nothing." She sighed dramatically. "Okay, good," the clueless Bun chirped. She felt a tinge of irritation. She loved her champion, Cinnamon Bun, but at times we was so vacant, so oblivious. "Cinnamon Bun, does a ruler have to be alone to rule a kingdom? I mean, is isolating yourself to a loveless life a part of being a true leader? Not that I don't love my people, but—" She slumped lower in her throne. "Do you understand what I'm saying? Princess, do you want to start dating?" Apparently he was a bit sharper than she have him credit for. "I don't know. I'm just feeling like if I'm gonna rule this place, it'd be easier if I had a partner, someone to share my kingdom with. I don't see any other princesses getting married or dating, but I can't shake this depression. Every morning I wake up alone. Does it have to be this way? Am I being selfish? I think it's time to set you up with some dates. What's a queen without a king? You have to rule by your own standards, not those of others. Maybe my dog knows of some guys." Oh, Cinnamon Bun. If only he ended his statements one sentence earlier, he would sound so much more intelligent. He had moments of fluidity, but they never lasted long. He had a point. Maybe it was time for her to open up and date again. It had been years since he had her first boyfriend, Finn. She wondered how he had grown up too. They only dealt with one another under extreme circumstances. A battle, a political dinner, a celebration of his heroism. They never really spoke, unless they had to, and even then it was painful. But time had matured him. She could see that just from observing him from afar. She distanced herself so much from him, she had forgotten how much she once loved him. It was an immature relationship, but it meant the world to her. Was she beginning to miss him? Or was it just her loneliness spilling over into her memories? Besides, he had dated plenty over the years. He might even have a girlfriend. No, she couldn't go back there. She had to start fresh. But the thought of being with Finn tugged at her mind. Then she remembered her elemental matrix, as Phoebe put it. Was she still volatile? Years ago, she was poisoned by her handmaiden. Ever since, her skin was at a lukewarm temperature at best. Her hair still glowed brightly, but she could no longer light object on fire with only her touch. She was stabilized. Maybe romantically she was safe as well. Only one way to find out. She remembered her first kiss with Finn. His mouth was cool, soft. She yearned to kiss someone again. She was so deep into her thoughts, she didn't realize Cinnamon Bun had been talking about potential suitors. He apparently had a list in line already. We can make an announcement to all the eligible males in the kingdom. Or wait! Let's have a royal ball? You're so soft and squishy now you can date all types of guy. Maybe even a candy person. He blushed, a daydreamy look in his eyes. A ball, huh? I don't know. I mean, it couldn't hurt. Maybe Flambeau can escort everyone in, so we can hold it here. Cast Flame Shield, keep people safe. She sat up in her throne. Okay, let do it. I think this could be a decent idea. It'll be fun, at the very least. There's nothing wrong with me having fun. Maybe we could invite Finn. She whispered to herself. Finn? CB squeaked. Finn the human? Oh, never mind. Just a silly thought. You know, just to invite an old friend. Nothing weird or anything. Heh. She blushed. What in the world was she thinking? CB smiled. Finn and Jake would be fun. Jake's puppies would be fun too. Yeah, Jake. I'll make a royal announcement right away and invite everyone. We'll find a perfect prince for my princess. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Yet she couldn't say no to seeing Finn. Even if nothing came of it, she had to talk to him again. Maybe, just maybe, he was what she was missing. Chapter 2. Yeah! A sword thrust into the air, maneuvering gracefully around a tree. Finn practiced stabbing around with his pale sword, simply playing around. Finn had grown up. Replacing his once pudgy, gangly figure, now lies a tall, muscular young man. He lifted off his hat to let his blonde hair flow in the wind, relieving him from the sweat that trickled down his forehead. Finn, are you done practicing? I made lunch, Jake yelled from inside the treehouse. Although years had passed, not much had changed with the two friends. They still were adventuring. They still were having fun. Finn wiped his brow and placed his good back on his head. He put away his sword and made his way back to his home. As he strolled along, a group of water nymphs cooed from their small puddle. Finn, hey, she squealed. The three nymphs giggled to themselves. Hi, girls. Finn bowed his head and grinned. He was used to having women throw themselves at him. After all, he was the hero of the champion of all the land. But he wasn't interested in dating anyone at the moment. He went through many relationships during his younger years and just wanted a break. He wanted to focus on his legacy, not on romance. He walked into the treehouse. The delicious smell of lunch permeated through the air. Hot dog, Jake. What did you make? Finn stopped in his tracks. Sitting at the table across from Jake was Cinnamon Bun. Oh, I didn't know we had company. How are you, CB? Finn tossed his sword in a corner of the house next to his barrage of weapons. I've been sent by Flame Princess. She's having a royal ball to find a suitor. She thought it'd be fitting to invite the heroes of CB pulled out an invitation from his knapsack. Flame Princess was inviting him to a party. Finn gulped. His stomach began doing somersaults. Why was she doing this? It probably meant nothing. But she is dating again? Whatever happened to having too much responsibility to date? The whole family is invited. Jake smiled. Still such a proud dad. Apparently this is going to be some party. All the kingdoms are invited. And she specifically requested that I be there. Finn leaned on the table before him, putting his face in Cinnamon Bun's. Yeah, as an old friend. Don't get any ideas. CB backed away from Finn, clearly still uncomfortable with the level of intensity in Finn's voice. Of course, Finn thought. Don't get your hopes up. He knew this was just another party that he was obligated to attend. It meant nothing. He meant nothing to her. Although Finn had dated, he never loved anyone like he loved his Flame Princess. He always waited for the day she'd come back to him. But after years of waiting, he knew it was really over. He'd attend the party, make his regular appearance, but he had no expectations. He wasn't invited as a potential suitor, but maybe he could help her pick the right guy? Maybe this was his opportunity to at least rebuild a friendship with Flame Princess. That would be enough for him. Well, I have to go now. See you in a few days. CB stood up and left the treehouse. Kinda awkward FP invited us, huh? Not like we're the best of friends. Guess this isn't a very exclusive party. Jake chewed on his lunch. Finn's mood dropped immediately. Jake, I think I'm gonna go practice some more. Get my mind off things. I need to let things fester. Oh no, not again. Finn, get yourself together. This is just another royal party. We've been to 1,000,000 like them. Festering is never a good thing. Jake called after Finn as he walked out the door. Finn stopped outside his house by the nymphs. Maybe spending a little time flirting would take his mind off things. He needed anything to take his mind off of Flame Princess. He knew in just a few short days he'd be face to face with her again. Face to face with his Flame Princess. Chapter 3. Today was the day. the royal ball of the Fire Kingdom. All across Ooh, folks were preparing for the exciting event. Finn stared in the mirror, attempting to straighten his bright red bow tie. He was looking sharp with his black suit and new haircut. He removed his signature hat and placed it on a hanger in his bathroom. Time to retire the old thing for the night. He tried to comb his finger through his still shaggy, thick locks, but gave up after a few minutes. "Finn, you about ready?" Jake popped in, a matching red tie around his neck. "Lady and the pups are already on their way there. We gotta hurry. I don't want to miss the beginning." Finn felt his face burn hot. He had grown into a confident young man, but his confidence was wavering tonight. Every time he and Flame Princess met, it was uncomfortable. And now, with her trying to date, he only felt more awkward. He couldn't help but have his hopes up. Maybe she could come around. Across Ooh in the Fire Kingdom, the princess was preparing for her big night as well. She wore a red top, cropped at her waist, and a long red skirt, a short train dragging in the back. Her hair was delicately braided and draped down her back. Tendrils of fiery hair shaped her face. Her hands gripped the sink in front of her as she looked at herself in the mirror. She took a deep breath, trying to prepare herself for the evening. "You can do this. You deserve this," she whispered to herself. She took one last look at herself before sliding out of her washroom. "Princess, you look great." Phoebe greeted her in her room. "Are you ready? Your first dance is with Stan of the Fire Kingdom. I hear he's a pretty hot guy. Hey, hot." Stan, Phoebe, Flame, Princess, and Stan? It just sounded ridiculous. Was this what the whole night was going to be like? A whole bunch of Stans? Flame Princess began to have second thoughts. Maybe this whole thing was a bad idea. "Cinnamon Bun, my queen," a guard interrupted. "Finn and Jake have arrived. Should we start the event now?" He came? Finn actually showed up. Suddenly, energy rushed into her body. If she could just get past dancing with the Stans of the party, maybe she could have some time with Finn. Her mind began to fight with itself. What if that wasn't what she wanted? What if Finn wasn't the answer to her loneliness? What if it was a Stan, or John, or Mr. Cupcake? She had to give everyone a chance at least. That was the point of this whole event. "Okay, CB, let's go." She linked arms with the bun as they walked out of her room, down the corridors and into the grand ballroom. The room was filled with blue candy people, grass people, wizards, witches, flame citizens. Even water elementals had made their way into the kingdom. It was severely overwhelming. But among the blue attendees, she managed to see one tall person in particular, Finn. She had to make her way towards him somehow. "Princess, this is Stan. He would like to have your first dance." CB handed FP's hand into the flaming hand of a drop of fire. She reluctantly began to dance with the fireman, continually spotting her head to watch Finn chat with the gaggle of women pursuing him. Almost seemed like this ball was for Finn. He was getting so much attention. "Oh, I learned to dance from my dad. He danced in an acting troupe. Do you like plays?" Stan the fireman asked. "Uh-huh." She tried her best to be polite. Across the room, Finn entertained a group of girls. He kept an eye on Flame Princess. Should he cut in? Would it be weird to ask her to dance? He gave it some time before excusing himself from his admirers. Jake was dancing with Lady as Finn approached. "Jake, I need advice." He put his hands on Jake's shoulders, stopping his wiggling movement. "Do I dance with Flame Princess? I feel like it's the polite thing to do, right? Right?" He became a bit frantic. "Finn, calm down. If you want to dance with her, just go do it. But don't get your hopes up, bud. You know where you two stand." Jake melted out of Finn's grip and continued to dance with his newlywed wife. Finn decided to just do it. He fights monsters every day. How could dancing with his ex-love be any scarier? As he approached Flame Princess, she almost threw Stan out of her arms. "Finn." She stopped. "May I cut in?" Finn bowed. Stan looked a bit irritated, but he returned the bow and removed himself from the princess. Finn clasped Flame Princess's hand in his. He wrapped another hand around her slender waist. They locked eyes and paused. Finn smiled like a little boy. Flame Princess blushed brightly. Ahem, dance? Cinnamon Bun interrupted. Ha, right. Come on, FP. Finn glided across the ballroom, leading Flame Princess in a simple but elegant dance. How have you been? Finn never broke eye contact once. Oh, just the same. This whole deal was Cinnamon Bun's idea. I just went along with it. I thought a party would be fun since we've never had one in the Fire Kingdom because, it's boiling hot and everything. She felt herself rambling, but she couldn't stand the silence that fell between them as Finn simply smiled at her. After a few moments of thick silence, the princess broke eye contact and looked at her feet. You look beautiful. Finn stopped dancing and lifted her chin up. I haven't seen you this happy in a long time. You really seem to have things going well for you. I just wanted to talk, since we don't really ever, be friends again. Finn, do you want to get out of here? Flame Princess had no idea what she was saying. CB had put this whole thing together, but all she wanted was to feel Finn, not through a magic shield, but his real, soft skin. We can, talk, for a bit. I don't know if your suitors would like that very much. Finn twisted his face. It'll just be for a few minutes. I just want to escape the party for a bit. Finn shrugged. A warm feeling grew in his stomach. Lead the way, Princess. Chapter 4. The air was thick, heavy with the threat of rain. Out in the woods just outside the Fire Kingdom sat Finn and Flame Princess. They sat next to each other, their back to a large fallen tree. The two looked onward at a small lake in front of them. The dim glow from the princess's hair was just enough light for the two to see. The moon glowed brightly as well. The couple had been talking for what seemed like only minutes. For the first time in years, they were laughing, having fun. Their stale, awkward relationship had vanished, and in its place was a calm, familiar closeness. Do you ever think back to those times between us? Flame Princess hugged her knees, sheepishly looking over her shoulder at Finn. They had just been reminiscing about the time FP almost burned Finn alive while inside a dungeon. All the time, Finn spoke without thinking. I mean, not all the time, but it comes to mind. We had a lot of fun back then. Do you still get to have fun? Finn flipped a rock across the lake. Well, being queen has its high points. It's fun to help people, and I always enjoy meetings between other royals. I just feel like I'm one of those people who needs more than just a job. That's where this whole ball thing came in. I was feeling lonely, to be honest. I'm not sure if dating is the answer, but it doesn't hurt to try. The princess looked down at Finn's hand. She wanted desperately to touch it, to feel his skin on her skin, but she was still unsure of her feelings for him, and she was even more self-conscious of his feelings for her. He could have any girl he wanted. Why would he want to go back to her? Finn also longed to touch Flame Princess. He wanted to hold her close for the first time without foil between them. He was sensing that she was comfortable with him, that maybe their feelings were in sync. Can I be blunt, FP? Finn got on his hands and knees and crawled in front of Flame Princess. He sat directly face to face with her. She nodded her head hesitantly. I want to touch you. The new you. I'm curious as to how you feel. If that makes you uncomfortable, it's okay, I just thought I'd ask. Finn held out a hand. Flame. Princess felt her face get hot. Sure. She placed her hand in his. She was still hot. There was no doubt about it. But it felt like sunburned skin, or like the warmth you feel when you put your hands over a fire. It didn't burn, and it didn't hurt. She was soft, delicate. The princess put her legs down from her chest and took Finn's other hand. They stared at each other for a moment, reveling in the ability to touch one another for the first time. The gesture was innocent but intimate. Should we go back to the party, Princess? Finn felt confident. He knew she was feeling the way he was. He was comfortable sending her off to dance with others. He felt he had won her back over. Flame Princess wasn't so sure. She knew there was one way to solidify her feelings, to know whether or not her feelings were real. She didn't want to lead Finn on, but she removed her hand from his and put it on his cheek, slowly moving it towards the nape of his neck until her fingers were intertwined with his hair. She gently pulled his face in closer. Finn wasn't so gentle, As soon as he felt her coming in, he wrapped his arms around her waist and pressed his lips onto hers. There were no explosions, no fires, just a slight tingle from the burn of her lips. Finn pushed his body onto hers until they were lying on the grass. Their kiss deepened until Finn found his way inside of her mouth. She was surprisingly cool inside, her tongue dialing down the slight burn from her lips. The kiss became voracious. The two tangled in each other's bodies. Suddenly, Flame Princess's hair hit the grass, starting a small fire. Finn's eyes flung open as his hand put out the flame. Feeling her tremble beneath him, he jumped off of her. "Oh no, I'm sorry," Finn gasped, catching his breath and realizing what he did. "No, it's okay. It doesn't hurt that badly. It's fine," she said in between gulps of air. They both stopped to take in what just happened. Flame Princess felt it finally. Her loneliness was dissipating. But could this happen with anyone? Or were her feelings for Finn true? "We should go back in. I have to return to my people." She played with her skirt, fixing her twisted top. She watched as Finn's face fell. "But we can meet up again soon. We can go on a date." Finn helped the princess come to her feet. She was so unsure, but she couldn't resist him. That kiss, her first real kiss, was magical. "Okay, we'll go on a date. But I can't promise I won't be dating around too. That is the whole point right now." She brushed herself off. Finn grinned confidentially. "Of course. It's only just a date. Now let's get you back to your suitors." She cast Flame Shield and Finn escorted her back to the ball. Back to the ball, where a very irritated Cinnamon Bun awaited their return. Chapter 5. After a hard scolding from Cinnamon Bun for being away from the ball for over an hour, Flame Princess spent the rest of the evening dancing away with multitudes of different males. Finn kept his distance, but every once in a while, the two would exchange smiles. He was feeling secure in his emotions. After years of hoping, he knew they would finally be getting back together. All he needed was one date to solidify that. As the night ended, Flame Princess said goodnight to all of her party guests. Finn began leaving the kingdom and stopped in front of the princess. "Good night, FP. I look forward to our date. I'll call you." He grinned and waltzed out the door. Once everyone was gone, Flame Princess flung her tired self onto her throne. "Princess, what were you doing with Finn? I thought you didn't have feelings for him anymore. There were plenty of other eligible bachelors here." Cinnamon Bun scolded. "Remember what happened last time with Finn?" Flame Princess was still spinning from her kiss with Finn. The whole night made her feel incredible, but nothing helped fill the void in her heart more than her time spent with the human. She was not in the mood to defend herself. "I don't know what my feelings are, CB. Things have certainly changed over the years. I'm not discounting anyone else, but something with Finn was different. I felt, I don't know, ... complete." Cinnamon Bun softened up. "If that's how you really feel, but I can't say I approve yet. I'll be there to help you if anything goes wrong. Good night, Princess." The Candyman excused himself from her room. The kiss burned inside her memory. The way their bodies molded into one. The way his hands roamed her body. Every detail replayed in her memory like a movie. The feeling of physical intimacy was unlike anything she had ever felt, and she thirsted for more. She couldn't wait to hear from Finn and attend their date. But something tugged at her mind. Were these feelings of a long-lost love, or was she feeling lust for the first time? She felt selfish, but she didn't want to stop. At least not until she could figure it out for herself. She fell asleep easily that night, consumed by her dreams of romance. Signed. Within the next few days, Finn was quick to call the princess. He decided to take her to a movie and dinner for their date. The princess primped herself as best as she could, excited to feel Finn's skin once again. Pout! She wrapped her hot locks into a tight bun on top of her head. She wasn't going to light anything on fire this time. She wore a short orange and pink dress, complete with an open back. She felt sexy and ready to explore these newfound feelings. She met Finn just outside the Fire Kingdom. "Ready for a movie?" Finn lent out an arm for Flame Princess to take. She strung her arm through his as they began to walk to the outdoor movie truck. They sat together on a small hill. Many residents of Ooh joined them. Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig, Jake and Lady Even Princess Bubblegum had come out with Marceline. Flame Princess felt out of place as Finn chatted with his friends before the start of the film. Phoebe, Princess Bubblegum smirked. Bonnibel, Flame Princess returned. She still didn't trust or like Princess Bubblegum. Something about her always seemed a bit off. Plus, Finn was in love with her for all those years. Maybe he still harbors feelings for her, too. A tinge of jealousy etched through FP's body. As the movie began, Finn wrapped an arm around Flame Princess's waist. Pulling her close to him, she felt his body pulse with each heartbeat. Her head began to pound. She no longer wanted to be in public at the movie. She wanted to be alone with Finn. Somewhere, anywhere. Finn, she whispered, her mouth brushing his ear. I'm kind of hungry. Do you mind if we nixed the movie? We'd have the treehouse to ourselves. Could be more fun. Finn looked at her perplexed. Didn't she want to enjoy a good film with him? But he couldn't say no to more alone time. That would give him more opportunities to get to know her again. Sure, let's head outside. By the time they reached the treehouse, Flame Princess was starving for Finn. Her head was spinning, her face flushed. Finn was talking, but she wasn't listening to a word he was saying. She knew what she wanted from him tonight. Her guilt of potentially using Finn was greatly overshadowed by her desire to feel his body touch hers. Finn shut the door of the home, and Flame Princess pounced. She knotted her arms around Finn's neck, knocking him back as he held up her weight. She passionately kissed him, tearing his hat clear off of his head. Whoa, FP! What's the rush? Finn tried to push her off. Flame Princess ignored Finn and began to tug at his shirt, feeling the muscle beneath the clothing. She pressed herself against him, and he stopped fighting her. Instead, he shrugged and engulfed himself in her. He broke their kiss with a gasp. Follow me? Finn grabbed a roll of foil and led Flame Princess to his bedroom. As she tried to tear at his clothes more, he placed the foil on her hair like a hat to avoid any fires breaking out. She ignored as worked on her hat and continued to kiss him, feeling each piece of his cool, muscular stomach. Finn stopped fiddling with her hair as she pushed him back onto his bed. They were entangled in one another, Flame Princess collapsing on top of him. They spent the rest of the evening discovering every inch of each other's bodies until they were exhausted. Flame Princess was beaming, pleased with her evening. After things slowed down, she buried herself in Finn's chest as their breath pounded in sync. Soon, his heartbeat lulled her into a deep sleep. Finn felt her go limp as she passed out in his arms. He smiled to himself. She was his. After all these years, he finally won her back over. He always loved her, and now knew he always will. He clicked off the lamp by his bedside and rested his head on her foiled hair. He, too, slipped into a happy, satisfied sleep. The next morning, however, wasn't as pleasant. Chapter 6. The sun shone brightly through the window. The beams danced on Flame Princess's face until the warmth awoke her from her sleep. She looked around the room, for a moment forgetting where she was. It was then she noticed a sleeping Finn next to her, his arm limply gathered around her waist. Suddenly, her high from last night was destroyed. She had stayed the night at Finn's. She hadn't even established if she wanted to date him yet, and already she had conquered Tier 15. An inescapable sense of guilt dropped in her gut. She slowly inched her way from out of Finn's grip. She nabbed her dress from the floor and slipped it on, removing the foil from her hair, allowing her locks to float towards the ceiling. She crumpled the foil and left it on the bedside table, almost as a reminder that she was there. Just in case Finn was as taken back as she was, she quietly tiptoed down and out of the bedroom and to the front door. But as she walked out, a perky Jake was just walking in. Flame Princess, what are you doing here so early? Jake jumped from surprise. Nothing, I was just stopping by. Now I'm leaving and I'm in a hurry, so, bye. She maneuvered around Jake awkwardly. Don't you want some breakfast? Jake called after her, as she basically sprinted away. No thanks. Bye, she barked. Jake, confused, simply shrugged and walked into his house. He walked up to his room to find Finn sitting at the side of his bed, clenching the foil in his hand. "So, did Flame Princess?" Jake sat next to his buddy. "She just left. She didn't even bother to wake me up." "Jake, I'm really confused. I thought I sealed the deal. But after all that she just runs away from me. Do you think she maybe just didn't want to disturb me?" Finn looked at Jake, eyes hopeful. Maybe she'll call. Jake was unsure what to say. He could put two and two together, and was well aware of what happened that night. But why Flame Princess would leave without saying a word was beyond him. It didn't look good, though. Jake wrapped a loose arm around Finn's shoulder. "Hey, don't worry about it, man. Just don't let it get you down. Just act like everything's normal and maybe it'll be normal. Maybe she's just embarrassed. Maybe she was embarrassed. She was royalty after all, and her behavior last night was less than polite." He decided he'd give it a day, and then call her, ask her on another date. He wasn't ready to give up yet. Across Flame Princess arrived in the Fire Kingdom. Without a beat, Cinnamon Bun was at her side. What happened? He grabbed her shoulders, then pushed her into a hard hug. "I thought you were in trouble. I was about to call Finn in case you needed rescued." No, I'm fine, CB. I just fell asleep at Finn's. It's not a big deal." She lied to herself. It was a huge deal. She couldn't seem to decide if the night before was love or lust. Was she using Finn for the sensation of skin on skin? Or did she fall in love with him all over again? She knew it was unfair for her to leave him like she did, but she couldn't face him. Not after the inappropriate way she acted. "No, CB, it is a big deal. I don't know what came over me, but our date was so intimate, and it was the first date I've been on. I feel confused. Am I falling for Finn by default? Am I just being gluttonous? How do I know if what I feel for him is real? We just took things to a new level." Cinnamon Bun stopped and stared at her wide-eyed. "You mean you... Princess?" He slurred. "You can't act before you know. Does that even make sense?" "Yes, I know what you mean," she whined. "I can't help myself. It's like there's a monster inside of me and I... La, I don't want to hear this." CB covered his ears. "Cinnamon Bun, I need someone to talk to. You're really all I have. Why don't you contact another princess? Why not Bubblegum? She's a girl, and she's familiar with your emotions. Maybe she can run some tests." CB thought. It wasn't a bad idea. Flame Princess was never known for having an abundance of female friends, or really any friends at all. Perhaps it was time for her to reach out to another girl. She didn't really trust Bubblegum, but she knew how close she and Finn were. Maybe she'd have some insight. "CB, call up Bubblegum. Tell her I request a royal meeting with her," Flame Princess commanded. She was already collecting firsts. Why not add another to her list? CB hung up the phone. "Princess Bubblegum will meet you at the Candy Kingdom at noon." I told her it was really important. Flame Princess felt nervous. She didn't want anyone to think badly of her. But as she thought of her night, she began to feel the beast within her roar. She smiled to herself, blushing hard, and she remembered every moment. She couldn't deny that she was happy that it happened with Finn. She honestly couldn't imagine herself fulfilling her needs with anyone else. Does that equal love? Before long, she was on her way to the Candy Kingdom. Princess Bubblegum greeted her at the front door and led her into a large hall, usually the meeting place for political venues. "Please take a seat, Phoebe." The princess sat down across from Flame Princess at a long table. "Bubblegum, I need to talk girl talk." Phoebe stared blankly. "You called a royal meeting to talk girl talk? Really, Flame Princess? Really?" She cocked her head confused, but she had an intuition about what was coming. Flame Princess looked at her hand shamefully. Bubblegum sighed. "It's about Finn, right? What happened? I kind of sort of maybe have taken things a bit too far." "How far?" "As far as it goes." "Flame Princess," Bonnibel shrieked. "Do you understand how dangerous your elemental matrix is? You're lucky you didn't explode. Your emotions are unstable. You have zero control over the way you feel. Haven't we been through all of this years ago?" She sort of forgot about her emotional instability. Maybe that's the reason she'd been so out of control. That must be why she behaved the way she did. She sunk in her chair as Bubblegum ranted. You gotta get yourself together, girl. What you're feeling is years of pent-up emotions finally bubbling to the surface in a fiery explosion. We're dealing with our sensitive Finn here. You can't toy with him, FP. You have to be sure of what you're doing, or you'll never get control. And you'll make some enemies along the way. Bubblegum reached a hand on top of Flame Princess's. You need to talk to Finn on a different level. On a personal level. Get to know how he's grown up. As you have. And whatever you do, stay away from the physical stuff. At least until you can pin your emotions down. Phoebe rubbed the corners of her eyes and sighed again. Flame Princess knew she was right. She needed to give Finn a real chance. She liked him, and she couldn't see herself with anyone else. But she knew that wasn't enough. She had to cut out the physical intimacy until they could figure out their relationship. Thank you, Bonnie Belle. I know you're right. I think I know what I need to do now. Flame Princess stood up. Good. Remember, all mental, nothing physical. Phoebe reiterated. On her way back to the Fire Kingdom, FP pulled out her phone. Finn, let's meet up tonight. At the lake where my old house used to be. I'll be there. Chapter 7. Finn hung up his phone and tossed it next to him as he lied in his bed. He was depressed, racking his brain for answers to the night before. But suddenly, a burst of excitement filled his body. She called. She wanted to go out again. He obviously did something right. Jake, Finn yelled, rolling around in his bed. Finn, what's the deal? Jake stretched up to their bedroom. Flame Princess wants to go out tonight. I don't know what was up with this morning, but she's clearly not upset with me. We're meeting at the lake at sundown. What do you think we should do? Do you think you can stay at Lady's again in case I need the treehouse? I can be gone, but I think you two should spend more time away from the treehouse. More specifically, away from your bed. Jake wrapped his noodly arms around Finn and lifted him from his bed as he laughed. Jake, I gots this. Jake gently put Finn back down. I finally have the opportunities I need to close this deal. We're already going on date number 2. Finn hopped up. Just remember why you're dating. To get to know each other again. You both have changed over the years. You gotta make sure you still have those pumps and bumps in your heart. I'll be sure to be gone tonight. Maybe you can make her my new spaghetti sauce. As Jake blathered on, Finn excitedly daydreamed of what his second date would be like. Maybe he'd bring her flowers as a nice gesture. Or maybe that was too lame. He had to act natural. Not like he was overly excited, even though he was. Tonight had to be perfect. Flame Princess was also worried about the night. She decided tonight had to be the night. She was either falling for Finn again, or she needed to stop seeing him altogether. The thought weighed heavily on her mind. Imagining letting Finn go hurt her heart. She didn't like thinking about not being with him, but she had to make sure she knew what she was getting into. This was a new confident Finn. A seasoned hero, a humorous young adult. She had to prepare herself for what dating will bring. That night, the two lovers met at the lake. Flame Princess arrived first, followed by a spirited Finn. She was nervous. He was clueless. They began to talk about casual things, how her kingdom was doing, the adventures Finn had been on recently. They laughed together, smiled together. Flame Princess was enjoying herself so much, she didn't want to bring up the inevitable, but it needed to be done. Maybe she'd wait until after dinner. After a few hours talking by the lake, the two headed back to the treehouse. This time, Finn actually had time to cook for the princess. They ate and laughed and enjoyed their time together. Flame Princess fought with the urges steaming to the surface. She was doing well keeping things about conversation, but as they finished up dinner, she couldn't help but begin to thirst for him again. Tonight felt different from the other night, however. She didn't feel as vicious, as animalistic. She truly wanted to enjoy her time with Finn. Maybe she was falling for him after all. Finn cleared their plates and put the dishes in the sink. He then reached his hand over for a piece of foil. Oh! Finn walked to Flame Princess and wrapped her hair in the foil in a bun on top of her head. He smiled as his fingers maneuvered around the foil. Flame Princess stared at him with wide eyes. She knew she needed to be honest and talk about their relationship, but she could only go limp as he took her hand and led her up to the bedroom. Finn removed her dress, kissing her on her shoulder tenderly. Chills ran down her spine. Now was her chance to behave, to talk it out before acting out. But she couldn't get the words to come out. He gently pulled her down next to him on the bed and began to kiss her sweetly. It wasn't long before Finn melted into her as their bodies became one. But this time was different. Their motions were slower, more tentative. Their kisses were more passionate, more heartfelt. She felt them becoming one inside and out, even though she wasn't supposed to be taking any action. This confirmed her feelings. She was in love with Finn. As they came to a stop, Flame Princess settled into Finn's chest, making little circles with her fingertips. Now was the perfect time to talk. "Finn, I'm really happy," she started. "Me too." He breathed deeply. "I have to be honest. I wasn't sure if I wanted to date you again, but after tonight, I know I want to be with you." She felt Finn go still. "You what? Wait, what?" Finn sat up straight in bed. "I'm just saying how happy I am that things are working out. Know what you said before. You weren't sure? So what was last night all about? What about tonight? Were you just using me to figure out if you actually wanted anything to do with me? I thought you knew what you wanted." "Princess, this is really unfair." Finn moved away from the princess. "But the important part is, I've made up my mind. Finn, I knew I wanted to be with you. I just had to convince myself. Wait, no, not convince myself. Convince yourself. Listen to yourself. You don't sound honest and true. You sound like you're forcing a relationship out of an idea you like." "Flame Princess, do you love me? Because I love you. I love you entirely. I don't need any dates to determine that." Flame Princess stared blankly at Finn. She felt it inside, but now that she was put on the spot to say it, she felt like she was going to throw up. Any words that came to the surface felt like they would just tumble out like word salad. "Tell me." Finn stared into her eyes, holding on to her arms tightly. Finn, you know how I feel. I just said how happy I am that—" "You can't even say it. You sure can go through the motions, but you can't say you love me. I think it's time for you to leave." He stood up and handed her her dress. Flame Princess was at a loss for words. Why couldn't she just say it? She was frozen. "If you won't go, I will. You know how to let yourself out." Finn threw his clothes on, grabbed his sword, and was out the door before Flame Princess could even take a breath. "I love you," she whispered, standing up from the bed. "I love you." She collapsed to the ground, sobbing onto her dress in her hands. What had she done? Chapter 8. 1 month had passed, and Flame Princess was still consumed by her depression. She racked her brain over and over for ways to make things better with Finn, but everything came up weak. Finn was a romantic. He needed a huge gesture to get over the way she had treated him. Regret seeped into her gut. She knew the way she treated him was unfair, but had she not acted the way she did, she would have never uncovered her true feelings. She sunk deeply into her throne, her head supported by her fist. She played with her crown as a citizen complained about their neighbor. She wasn't really listening. Sometimes the Flame People's problems were so trite. Everything seemed small in comparison to her Finn problem. She was in love with a man who felt used, felt betrayed by her. When she felt betrayed by him all those years ago, she didn't forgive him so easily. Why should he forgive her? What could she do to make him see how sorry she was? The princess's day was coming to a close as the last citizen left. Unsatisfied with his apathetic queen, she didn't care. She just wanted to get back to her bed. "Flame Princess, we need to talk." Cinnamon Bun stopped her from leaving her throne. "What? CB? What did I do?" "It's not what you did, but what you didn't do. You're a shell of yourself, and you're being a bad queen. Pull yourself together. It's been a month. What can I do to make you happy again?" CB took her hands in his. "I care so much about you. How can I help you?" "Bring Finn back," she blatantly stated. "I need him. I don't feel complete without him. So how do we get him back? Hey, maybe we can throw a royal ball. Flame Princess rolled her eyes. Again with the ball stuff? Clearly that worked the first time. Well, actually it did. He did come, and they did get together. Would he attend another royal ball? Would he even bother coming? His pride wouldn't allow him to skip out. Maybe exactly what she needed was to take things back to where they started. CB, wait! That might be a good idea. We throw a royal ball to celebrate a big announcement. Finn comes, I make the announcement that I love him and want to be with him. He forgives me. We party. It's a big romantic gesture that's sure to get his attention. Plus, he wouldn't expect me to do something like this. It's spontaneous. We can play it like our last ball was so successful that we want to do it again. This could work. Cinnamon Bun, you're a genius. She hugged him tightly. He fell backwards from her, throwing herself at him, but quickly collected himself and hugged her back. He was like her big brother, always looking out for her. Even though the idea seemed far-fetched, it was the only thing that Flame Princess could see turning out. She immediately had Cinnamon Bun invite the neighboring kingdoms, making sure to personally invite Finn and Jake. Across Finn was about as depressed as Flame Princess. He hadn't adventured in weeks unless it was an emergency. He mostly stayed in his cocoon-like bed, sleeping the days away. Jake worried immensely for his buddy. Hey, Finn, want to go scour a dungeon today? Jake sat on Finn's bed, petting his friend's back. I don't know, Jake. I just kind of feel like staying in. Jake stood up angrily. You have been laying in this bed for almost a month. Time to do something. This is getting ridiculous. Either get over her or go get her. I'm sick of hearing you sigh and moan and not do anything. I hate to see my friend waste away. Look at yourself, bro. Finn knew Jake was right. He was tired of being tired. He wanted to be with Flame Princess so badly it caused him so much pain. But she had burned him. Metaphorically this time. She couldn't even say she loved him. But he wondered, could she just not be ready? Was there a chance she could have grown to love him again? Maybe he had overreacted. But she hadn't made any efforts to contact him. So maybe she was over it. He'd gotten over her before. Maybe he could do it again. His heart hurt as he thought about forgetting about her again. How could he go through it all again? Jake, you're right. I've got to do something. I just don't know where to start. Do I finally give up for good, or do I hold out hope? I feel like I need a sign or something. Right at that moment, a knock came at the door. Come on, buddy. Let's go see who that is. Jake carried Finn downstairs. They opened the door to find Cinnamon Bun. He had an invitation in his hand. Finn, Jake, you are cordially invited to a royal ball thrown by the Queen of the Fire Kingdom. She requests your presence in 4 days' time. We hope you can make it. She wanted me to hand-deliver this note to you. CB handed over the blue invitation. Maybe this was a sign. Thanks, CB. We'll try and be there, sir. Finn shut the door quickly. Was this her reaching out to him? Maybe it wasn't time to give up, but she'd really have to prove herself to make this work. Finn smiled for the first time in ages. There's that grin! Jake hugged Finn. See? She's making an effort. Now it's your turn. Not only are we going, but you're gonna bring a date. What? Jake, how exactly will that get Flame Princess and I back together? To make her jealous. Bring someone who you know has zero interest in you. Like Bubblegum, for example. Bring her as your date. Then Flame Princess will really have to prove herself. It's the perfect test. If she leaves you alone, it's over. But if she tries anyway, then you finally sealed the deal. Jake, that sounds like a really bad idea. But I guess you have a point. Okay, I'll ask Phoebe if she wants to go with me as friends. She'll understand. I don't think Marcy will mind. Finn winked at Jake. The two stopped and laughed. They suspected those two have been together a long time. It was still fun to poke fun at. So it was decided. Finn would attend the ball with Princess Bubblegum. And only time will tell if Flame Princess will come around. Chapter 9. The day had finally come. The day Flame Princess would win back her night. Her second royal ball. This time was different. This time she knew who she was really there for. She fumbled around with her hair until a messy low bun satisfied her. She trembled as she worked her locks, nervous for the upcoming evening. She wore a floor-length red dress, flames spitting up from the bottom, and a slit coming up the side. It had a sweetheart neckline that showed off her shining red stone, worn in the center of her chest. She carefully plucked out tendrils of hair to frame her face. She had to look perfect for tonight. She couldn't stop her shaking as she attempting to apply red lipstick, making errors along the way. "Ah!" she moaned, fixing her lips. "CB, I'm just not ready for this." She slammed her lipstick down, sans, and grabbed a hold of her sink with both hands. She stared at herself in the mirror and tried to breathe in and out. "Princess, you look beautiful. You don't have anything to worry about. Except maybe Finn rejecting you. But why worry about that?" The thoughtless Candyman rambled. "Oh yeah, only rejection from the love of her life after a huge gesture. Nothing to worry about at all. Thanks. That really helped a lot." She sarcastically responded. "This is serious." She hadn't thought of it before, but if things didn't go well, her reputation would be tarnished as well. She wouldn't be seen as a serious ruler, but a pathetic, desperate teenager. She was an adult, a queen. If Finn rejected her, she'd lose a lot more than her love. She'd lose her dignity. She had to look stunning. She had to ooze beauty. She had to be irresistible. She was putting a lot out on the line for Finn. She could only hope he wouldn't let her down. "Your Highness, the guests have begun to arrive." A fire guard popped his head in the door. Flame Princess nabbed her crown and placed it perfectly on her head. Her look was complete. She let out one more dramatic sigh before looking at Cinnamon Bun. He gave her a nod and they walked out the door. The ballroom was beginning to fill up. "We're simply loving these balls, Your Highness," a slime man and his wife commented while passing the princess. At least people were enjoying themselves. She looked around the room as she took a seat in a throne setting on top of a platform, so she could see the entire party. As the night went on, guests made their way to the queen to give their regards. But she still didn't see Finn. Where was he? Finn was dealing with his own nerves. Donning navy dress pants and a navy sports jacket, he wrestled with his bright red bow tie. His fingers tangled in themselves until he finally had enough and called for his buddy. "Jake, I can't get the friggin' bow tie. We're already running late." Suddenly, Princess Bubblegum appeared in the bathroom. She was clad in a long pink dress, a thin layer of light pink tulle peeking from the bottom of the modest dress. Her hair was in a high ponytail, and she looked amazing. "Let me help you, Finn," the princess cooed while quickly fixing his tie. "There." She kissed him on the forehead. "You're ready." "Thanks, Phoebe." Finn blushed. "And thanks again for agreeing to go with me. After everything that happened, I just need a good friend to help me feel more comfortable, you know?" Finn lied. Bubblegum didn't say a word, but she knew she wasn't there for moral support. She had a sneaking suspicion that she was being used for something more. But the princess didn't care. She'd do anything to help Finn. He was, after all, her champion. "Let's get going, you two. We're an hour late. You know I don't like keeping Lady and the pups waiting." Jake burst through the bathroom door. "We're all ready. Come on, Finn." PB and Finn linked arms as they headed toward the Fire Kingdom. As they arrived, Finn immediately saw Flame Princess sitting at her throne. He wasn't sure how to feel seeing her again. He longed for her, but he still hurt at what felt like her rejection of him. He clung harder to Bubblegum. Maybe she was partly there for moral support. "We should go say hi," PB whispered. "It's only polite." Flame Princess sat straight up in her chair when she saw Finn walk arm in arm with Bonnie Belle. Her face felt hot as jealousy seized her body. What was he doing here with her? As they made their way toward the queen, she became increasingly uncomfortable. What would she say? Were they dating? Were they on a date? She couldn't believe he'd bring her here. Now, what about the plan? Her grand gesture seemed like an embarrassing act, now that Finn seemed to have moved on. What was she going to do? "Phoebe." "Hello." PB unhooked arms with Finn to shake Flame Princess's hand. "Nice to see you again. Thanks for inviting us. We're so happy we could attend." "We." Why was she saying we? Why was she talking for Finn? He was fully capable of talking for himself. Then he did. "Hey, nice party. You look beautiful. Finn fiddled with his hair. Flame Princess blushed. What was happening? He was acting like he was nervous, but he was the one who arrived with another woman. The two walked away, and the jealousy burst within her. Finn had loved Bubblegum before he ever loved her. Maybe they finally got together now that Finn had grown up. She felt like she hated the princess, but she was so jealous she'd do anything to be her. She wanted to be the one on Finn's arm. She wanted to be made of candy and not fire. She wished she was Princess Bubblegum, at least in that moment. Her jealousy turned into an aggressive, competitive feeling. Bonnibel thinks she can have Finn. She thinks she's won. Flame Princess wouldn't have any of it. She felt her power bubbling within her. In a storm of fire, she skied forward so that she was face to face with Bubblegum, cutting in between her and Finn. What do you think you're doing here with him? Are you dating now? Is that it? Is this some kind of romantic evening for you? Her body was engulfed in flames. She had never been so angry in her life. Whoa, Phoebe, calm down. I'm just here as moral support. Phoebe tried to explain. Don't lie to me. Flame Princess shot a small dose of fire toward Princess Bubblegum. She countered it with her flame-shielded arm. Flame Princess couldn't hurt her. Whoa, FP, wait! It's not what you think. Finn jumped in the middle of the two girls. Flame Princess returned to her normal self and stared at Finn. Did he bring her here to make her jealous? But you came here with her. Are you two? We're just friends, FP. I promise. It's not like that. I tried to tell you, you ding-dong. Bubblegum spewed. Flame Princess furrowed her brow again, still jealous and angry at the princess. What's all the commotion? Cinnamon Bun interrupted. This is an event for you to make a special announcement, Flame Princess. Not get in fights with other royals. The announcement. She completely forgot about her announcement. She was too consumed by her jealousy over Princess Bubblegum. But if they just came as friends, should she still go on with the plan? Did he really bring her here to make her jealous? So does that mean he still cares? She felt the room stop and stare at her, crowding around in a circle. Yeah, what's the big announcement? A guest yelled. Tell us, another commanded. In that moment, she decided she was going to go through with the plan, even if it meant putting a strain on her political relations with the Candy Kingdom. She was going to confess her feelings, whether anyone here liked it or not. She swallowed hard. There was no turning back. Excuse me, can I have everyone's attention? She stuttered a bit. Cinnamon Bun turned off the music as everyone began to shift silently, awaiting her words. I do have an announcement. Last time we threw a ball, it was to find me a suitor. Well, I found one. Finn felt his stomach drop. She already found another suitor? He started to turn around and walk right out the door for fear he'd start to cry. But if she has found another suitor, why did she act so jealous? I choose Finn the human as my suitor. If he'll have me. Finn shot around as the crowd awed. I love you, Finn. FP watched as Finn stood paralyzed. She saw Bubblegum mouth the words, go get her, as she pushed him toward the center of the circle. Finn was face to face with Flame Princess. He couldn't decide if he was embarrassed or flattered. She went out of her way to make such a grand gesture. She loved him. She really loved him. Without hesitation, Finn dipped FP down into a passionate kiss as the onlookers cheered. She wrapped her arms around his neck as she became enveloped in his embrace. You really mean it? You don't need any convincing? Finn broke the kiss. I'm sorry for the way I treated you. I just didn't know how to handle my feelings. But I know how I feel, and what I want. I want you. Finn dove back into Flame Princess, holding her tightly to him. Cinnamon Bun turned on a slow song as the crowd paired off to dance. May I have this dance? Finn took her hand. Dance, body, night. You can have it all. Flame Princess laughed. And that's how the night ended. Flame Princess was wrapped in Finn's arms after so many years. After years of loneliness, she had found the missing piece in her puzzle life. She was with Finn, finally. And she knew she was right where she belonged.